Hi, I'm Simon. This is Abby. We're from Quill. We're talking to you today about trusts. Abby is our in-house solicitor, and if you need to make a trust, it's her you'll be calling. So we're going to ask a few questions and give you the answers you need to make a trust.
A trust is an arrangement where you can hold assets, that's money, shares, property, for the benefit of other people, beneficiaries. The purpose of a trust is to protect and preserve assets. The people involved in a trust are the settlor, who is the person who creates the trust, the beneficiaries, who are the people entitled to the assets in the trust, and the trustees, who are the people responsible for managing that trust. You can appoint anyone you would like to be a trustee, as long as they're not bankrupt. You can have friends, relatives, or professionals. A beneficiary is someone that you would like to benefit, whether it be your children, your grandchildren, wider family members, friends, or charities. There are a fair few different kinds of trusts. There is a bare trust, which is the most simple of all the trusts, where the trustees hold the assets for the beneficiaries as soon as they reach 18. There are what are known as interest and possession trusts, where the beneficiaries are immediately entitled to the income generated from the trust. There are discretionary trusts, where the beneficiaries are not entitled to any of the capital or any of the income. It is all given to them at the discretion of the trustees. If your parents take legal advice and they own a property jointly, they may be encouraged to create what are commonly known as life interest trusts within their wills, and a life interest trust aims to preserve and protect one half of the property so that the survivor of your parents would be able to live in that property for the rest of their life, and then afterwards that half of the property is held for their children. It depends on the circumstances. Sometimes there is going to be some deficit, but quite often these trusts work very well in that the preservation of one half of the house works and it does what it's intended to do. It is often quite difficult to preserve the whole property without giving or selling that property so that it's outside of your estate completely. If you put your entire property into a trust, or if you gift your entire property away, you are losing the benefit and the right to that property, which then causes insecurity for you coming up. For the most part, people's homes are their main asset. That is where you've put all of your money into, that is what you've paid your mortgage on, and that is your main asset. If you give away that asset and you're approaching your old age, you don't know what you may need money for in the future. And if you give that entire property away, you are then giving away any money, really, that you may need in the future for your old age. Life interest trusts can also be used to preserve assets, especially for your children if you are perhaps in a second marriage or you have a blended family. It ensures that you can preserve the financial security of your surviving spouse whilst preserving the capital assets for your children. If I was to remarry for my second marriage and I'm married to someone who's also coming into a second marriage, and we both have children from a first marriage, we have to consider what we would like to happen when the first of us passes away. I would want to ensure that my husband has the financial freedom and flexibility that he needs for the rest of his life, but I also want to make sure that my own children benefit from my estate. A discretionary trust is where you can put assets into a trust and your trustees are completely responsible for advancing capital and income to those beneficiaries. The beneficiaries have got no entitlement to any of the trust assets. They do not form part of their estate if they were to get divorced or if they were on benefits. I may like to consider using a discretionary trust if I have children and I have concerns over a marriage that they may be in, or if I have children and I have concerns over their financial savviness. Any funds in a discretionary trust would not form part of their estates. So if they were to get divorced, those funds would not form part of a financial settlement. And if they were to become bankrupt, those funds would not form part of any bankruptcy proceedings. A bare trust is the simplest form of trust. It's often found in a will. It's where the trustees hold the assets for the beneficiaries, and when those beneficiaries reach 18, they become absolutely entitled to both of the capital and the income. The trust will expire when the last of the beneficiaries reaches 18. Absolutely. He can get his hands on his share of what he's entitled to. It is a bare trust. You are able to appoint trustees and you are able to create a trust if you have minor beneficiaries when you pass away. Always use a qualified practitioner. Quill are regulated by the Solicitors Regulation Authority. We are fully insured, we comply with all the standards, and we are fully trained. Don't use someone who is not qualified. Don't use someone who has never been and learnt about how to structure trusts and what the tax implications of trusts are. Always use a solicitor. I think it's really important that you do your due diligence. Make sure that you know the company that they work for. Make sure that they are legally qualified to provide good trust advice. And that's not just setting up a trust, that's the tax implications in running a trust. Any law firm, such as Quill, will have professional indemnity insurance. Be wary of who is making it for you. Make sure that they are qualified. Make sure that they carry indemnity insurance. If you make a trust and the company is not insured, they're not legally qualified, you would very rarely have any financial comeback. I would always advise to choose an SRA regulated business. We are held to the highest standards. We are all qualified and we will provide the absolute best service for you. An SRA regulated law firm is obliged to carry professional indemnity insurance, and we all do.
Okay, so hopefully we answered all your questions today. Don't forget, if you want to make a trust, easiest thing is just to call us. Almost certainly you'll speak to Abby at some point. She'll give you the advice you need. Don't go to someone who's going to turn up, sit in your front room for half an hour. Try and use an SRA regulated business. There's the reason the SRA exists, it's to protect you, the consumer, from rogues in the market. And sadly, there are too many in the trust industry. Anyway, thanks again from me and from
Abby.